I started thinking about this speech back in August, and I was like, how am I ever going to put into words what this has all meant in my life? But here I go to try and summarize the last 14 years, and thanks, Dad, for helping me with some comedic relief there. He got up to sit in my chair. Obviously, you know where I get my push the limit from my dad. And thank you, Senator Shirkey, for helping him out so he could see me. I first want to thank my family, first thank the residents of the 20th District and the 26th Districts. Yes, you heard me right. I've represented 2 Senate districts. 93% of my district changed after the first 4 years. Thank you, Joe Hune. So, but I've had the great honor to represent them. And whether to the residents, whether you've been my strongest champion or you felt that I could have done better, I've always appreciated the input. I've tried to respond and be diligent in representing all the residents. So thank you for believing in me to the residents. Next, I want to thank my parents. My mother, Zoe. This was really hard. I started crying during your speech. A social worker would always tell me growing up that I was a gift from God and to go out and make the world a better place. And she would also counter that with reading The Little Engine That Could. So I like to blame my mother for giving me the resiliency and the drive to push forward. Growing up, she would bring foster kids into our home, which has given me a great understanding for the struggles and not to judge others until you walk in their footsteps. This has taught me great empathy that I learned about the hardships of life, and I think it's made me a better legislator and fueled my passion in the justice system. My father, Harold, provided a great example of how to treat others. I remember when I was younger, him taking me out to lunch with a lot of people, which I think I was 19 or 20 at the time, and I was kind of in awe of all the CEOs and all the dignitaries, and he gave me the best advice somebody could give is, remember, everyone puts on their pants the same way. As I traveled around campaigning throughout the county, my parents, I would always get feedback. Either they had been clients of my mom and my mom always helped them through a difficult time, or they dealt with my father. And one of the best things they always said was that my dad treated him fair. So Senator Hood, when you said I treated you fair, you had no idea how much that meant to me. So I'd like to also thank my parents for my faith in God. I am strong in my faith and have tried to live a life accordingly. And I can't even believe I'm crying this much. My husband always said, never let them see you cry. And I've never cried in 14 years. I cannot thank God enough for the blessings he has bestowed upon me. Allowing me to faithfully serve my state and country has been the privilege of a lifetime. I'm so blessed to have met my husband, Steve, in our final year of college. Fate brought us together. We had 4 out of 5 classes together at Michigan State, so out of 50,000 people, I was fortunate to get in class with him 4 out of 5 classes. And 25 years later, we have had a wonderful, joyous life, and I could not ask for a better life partner and one who has supported me unconditionally and is my rock. I know the lifestyle of a political spouse is never easy. Sometimes it's harder on the spouse than it is on the candidate. And every weekend was filled with events, and he just went along with the flow. We have a parade this weekend. Okay, I'll get the car ready. So I thank you. You're my best friend, and I can't thank you enough. And then you're the father of my 2 wonderful children, Jordan and Savina. You are the light in my world, and I can't tell you how much I love you both and how proud I am of you. When I came into the legislature, you were 8 and 5. And now you're 23 and 20. Wow, where does time go? I'm so proud of the people you have become and believe that you can do anything in life and you'll be great citizens because you've turned out so well. I wouldn't be where I am without being able to do this job without an overwhelming love, and I've been surrounded by for the last several years. So how did I get here? I want to give special thanks to my campaign managers that worked for little pay and asked for nothing in return. Kim Gatica, Jay Compton, John Andrews, Isabel Labadie, Joe Wicks, and Ryan Gilbert. I also had many people help me out throughout the years, which the list is long, and I can't name them all because there are so many that have lent their time, talent, and treasure to my campaign. But Barb, Lenore, Jim, Glenn, Rose, and the two Lorraines, you guys have been amazing. I think probably combined you've put in a whole year of work for me. So thank you so much. I would like to acknowledge my predecessors who provided great examples. Representatives Mick and Marianne Middaugh, Senators Tom George, Paul Wartner, Patty Burkholz, Mark Jansen, Bill Hardeman, Bill Van Rigemorter, and the reason the list is long is because I've represented 2 districts. Thank you, Joe Hune. And then one other who wasn't in my area but has had a profound effect, especially on the Judiciary Committee, since we're both attorneys, which would be Senator Bruce Patterson. My 2 wonderful leaders, I was so honored when Randy Richardville said he wanted to promote a woman, which it's hard, being one of 4 women, and he said, I want you to be Senate President. So Randy, thank you so much. And then Arlen Meekoff, you're my seatmate over in the House, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate you, your friendship. You have an amazing wife as well. And both Randy and Arlen, you've been great leaders of our caucus, and I thank you so much. Senator Kowal, Dave Biswas, Jeff Cobb, and the entire office of the Secretary of the Senate, we've all worked together, and I appreciate our great working relationships I've had with you as Senate President Pro Tem. Next, I've had the opportunity to serve under great chairs in my committees. First, my first love, which is the Judiciary Committee. Nobody else asked for it. It was always my first request. Rick Jones, Chairman of Judiciary. I was so skeptical that a non-attorney would be running Judiciary Committee, but you have totally proved me wrong. You and your staff, and you've had just amazing staff throughout the years, have vetted every bill, and you've run it very efficiently. We're out of there usually sometimes in a half an hour after doing 15 bills. I've had to catch my breath sometimes, but you and your staff are amazing. And I thank you for your friendship. You stuck your neck out for me, and now you're paying a political price for it. But on a personal level, you just are so loyal and such a good friend. I will always remember it. And we have had our differences, but I think that's the testament of a good friendship, is when you can respectfully disagree. And you've always been up front, and I couldn't ask for anything more. Mike Knopfs, who I sit on the floor with, and also the chairman of our Energy and Tech Committee. I've been through 3, I think, rewrites of very complicated issues. Energy and telecom, they're not simple issues. You are a great example of how to take very complicated issues and work group them. And build coalitions. So thank you so much for the person you are. You too were a person of your word and always understood where I was coming from. Then next, my brother, Dave Hildenbarrett, Chairman of Appropriations. You've always been and I've always thought a younger brother, but thank you for the comment earlier. But I am older, so I recognize that. So. Thank you so much. You have been cool, even-handed, and I certainly have enjoyed representing Kent County with you and Senator McGregor. I felt like I'm an only child, so I felt like I had 2 brothers there in Kent County, and there certainly was collegiality. And then there was Darwin Boer, Capital Outlay. You are one of the most underappreciated senators there are. You are diligent, you know your stuff. You are just an amazing person, you and Patrick, and I should give a shout out to Patrick. Also just do the work, and you don't care about the credit. You fly under the radar, and you are also amazing. Then there's the chair of Judiciary Subcommittee, John. You and I kind of came in with maybe differences, but I can tell you I'm so happy and thank God for the comment that you gave and the heart-to-heart talks that we've had recently over the last year or two. I'm happy to be leaving, calling you a friend and in peace. So thank you so much. You two were a great chairman. I never got to serve on corrections with you, but I got to serve with you on judiciary, and it was all professional and just amazing. So thank you. Then there was the subcommittee of higher ed, which I got to chair. And I could not ask for better vice chairs. Certainly my first term, Senator Hood, you were amazing, very fair, and so thank you so much. And on a personal note, I treasure the words that you have always said. You kind of slowed down. And so I hope one of the last speeches I hear during statements is a speech from you. Nothing would make me happier because you have always, those speeches you do have always weighed heavily on my heart, and so know that you make a difference. And then also Curtis Hertel. I certainly have enjoyed the back and forth with you, and you two are very fair. And I've really enjoyed working with you on the committee. And then I would also like to thank Bill Bowerman from Senate Fiscal and Tom Davis. I was successful because I had amazing people helping me out. Then there's my fellow women senators. We were a small but mighty force, only 4. Senator Judy Emmons, you are a class act, just a class act. It's been wonderful getting to know you better, I think, in the last 2 to 3 years. And then there's my travel buddy, Senator Rebecca Warren. Who would have thought a liberal from Ann Arbor and a conservative from West Michigan would become the best of friends? But we found a common interest in that we love to travel. And so anytime you see a great deal, not on taxpayer expense, of course, you just know who to call, and I'll have my suitcases packed the next day. So thank you. I echo all the comments that you're well prepared and are just an amazing legislator as well. And then there's my partner up there, Margaret O'Brien, who is not only my fellow legislator who got to fill in for me when I got redistricted. Thank you, Joe Hune. But a very good friend, a sister, and her, along with Mary Balkema, have just been amazing friends to me. And we've been able to accomplish great things for our fellow districts. And Margaret, you're a tremendous and articulate legislator. You've been a wonderful advocate for Kalamazoo. I couldn't ask for somebody to fill the shoes that I left in Kalamazoo that would be better equipped than you. And I certainly have enjoyed our carpool, and unfortunately, in one fell swoop, over 3 months and 3 different elections, our whole carpool was taken out. With Senator Dave Maturin losing in the primary in August, I, of course, lost at the convention, and Margaret, you rounded out the team there in the general election. Next would be the person who is faithfully, and I say that faithfully because I look over there and he's not there, would be the person who got me Valentine's Day. Now, guys, you know, if you start giving a woman flowers, then you got to keep up with that. So if you bring her flowers for one anniversary, every anniversary you better bring her flowers. Well, Coleman Young, he brought me flowers one Valentine's Day. He got all the ladies in the house flowers for Valentine's Day. So I said, well, Coleman, I expect you next year, Valentine's Day, because my husband, he never started getting me flowers for Valentine's Day, so he was off the hook. But Coleman, he got us flowers. So there's Coleman. For 10 years straight, you have been the one person that's faithfully given me flowers. I thank you. It was always exciting hearing your speeches because we were wall mates over in the Farnham building. And so I got a preview of Madam President, let me start with a quote. So thank you so much, Coleman. You always bring a smile to my face, and guess what? You're off the hook for future Valentine's Day. Senator Beda, You and I have actually known each other the longest in this chamber. We go all the way back to law school. When you would come into the library, and I worked at the library, and never in a million years did I ever realize our paths would again cross like this. So I can't thank you enough. We've served on the Judiciary Committee all of our years. I think probably Judiciary was probably your passion and your #1 request along with mine. You're a class act. I've enjoyed serving with you, and even more I've enjoyed chairing the Victims' Rights Vigil every year, and I thank you for taking time out of your night. I know that means a lot to these victims that lose a loved one and are trying to find peace over an awful situation, so I thank you for that. And then I've come to know so many of you in this room, and I wish I could mention each of you. I was so blessed to see so many of you in action in your districts over the last 2 years. So I know my staff was like, Tonya, you can't go this long, but I am, because there were some people that were just amazing. Senator Casperson, I think you took 3 days out of your life, I think 2 or 3 times to drive me around the UPs, set up meetings, set up news interviews. You know, and when you drive around the UP, it gave me full scope. From one district to another, it takes me an hour and a half. That's like little for you. You drive like 5 to 6 hours over from one city to another city. It certainly did give me a view of how important the UP is, the different issues. I would always kid you about how come we can't vote on one more wolf bill, because that's all I want to do, because I think we voted on the wolf bill like 8 times. But I certainly appreciated the insight that I saw from you in that. Senator Schmidt, you too drove me all around and introduced me to your constituents, brought me to your radio stations. I can't thank you enough for everything that you did. And then there's the guy that, Senator Green, that gets me in trouble because he talks to me. And you bring me back to 5th grade when I'm talking in the back of the class because you get me in trouble with my good friend Arlen there. And I don't even know what we really talk about, if there's anything, but I've treasured our friendship. I've treasured your insight, and thank you so much for being a good friend with me and getting me in trouble in the back of the class during caucus time. And as the senator that I knew the least when I first started out this process a year ago, and I never would have thought, I was kind of scared because you go around and you say, can I have your support? And you guys were all wonderful, but the one that I was dreading the most is the one who just has stepped up to the plate so much, and that's Senator Pavlov. Senator, you and I didn't really know each other a whole lot, even though we sit like very close, but I don't know why we never were on the same committees, but man, you and Justin were just godsends to me, and I can't thank you enough. I've gotten to know you, and I value our friendship, and so thank you so very much. You just mean the world to me, and I know if I'm ever over in the thumb, I know I'll call you for lunch, so thank you. Senator Robertson, I couldn't echo the comments about the teapot. I've always enjoyed just you spinning around, dueling autocracies, whether you name it. I am so thankful. And just to tell you a story about Senator Robertson is my daughter was graduating, and so I put out invitations to invite people. I didn't want anyone to feel obligated, but Senator Robertson took one. And the week before her graduation party, I was out in the barn, and I had my hair in a ponytail, and I'd just come in, and I was writing a speech because I had to give a speech that next Monday or Tuesday, and I hear the doorbell, and I'm like, man, who could be coming at a Saturday night at like 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock? And I have no makeup on, hair, I'm just in a ratty sweatshirt. I look like death warmed over. I go down and I peer out the window and I see this Dave Robertson for Senate bumper sticker, and I'm like, oh, could he be coming a week early? So Dave and his wife came a week early, and then they came back the next week. So thank you so much. And thanks to my husband who whipped out, we had no food in the fridge. I had a can of chicken and some old tortillas and some enchilada sauce, and we had a wonderful dinner. Dave, you're welcome at my house anytime for dinner. Then to my former colleagues, John Walsh, John Pastor, Bruce Caswell, Shelley Taub, Chris Ward, Ed Gaffney, Bill Huizinga, and Dan Accavetti, thank you. Words cannot describe what your help, encouragement, and support has been to me. I've also been blessed to work alongside amazing leaders in the House during the course of my service, to Representatives Beth Griffin, Dave Maturin, Daniela Garcia, Mike McCready, Chris Affendulis, and Senator-elect Eric Nesbitt. You all have been tremendous and leaders and great friends. I would also be remiss if I did mention one person. He's from my small town of Pawpaw, Richard McClellan, who from the day one, since we come from the same small town, has really helped mentor me. To those who work behind the scenes preparing us for committee on tough issues, thank you to our entire policy and communication teams. Thank you to Rich and Patrick for all the work documenting our experiences here so that we can share our work with our constituents. And I know, Patrick, I've really put you through the ringer with the books and everything. Patrick, thank you so much. Thank you to Mike Furlan, to our sergeants, our wonderful Senate clerks and staff. Your work is often thankless but essential, and I'm thankful for the work you have done. To the pages, to the people who clean this building, it does come alive, and it's all because of a team effort. To the governor and lieutenant governor, I thank you for your leadership. The state's better off. For all who work in my office, I could not be prouder of each and every one of you. And I'm almost done here, but I want to save the best for last, because the people that have worked in my office have truly been special. I've had two wonderful chiefs of staff, starting with Rebecca DeVoe. She always had me in stitches laughing. And people would call the office just to talk to her. They didn't want to talk to me, they wanted to talk to her. So thank you, Rebecca. You made the district better. And then Tricia Nesbitt, I don't know what I would have done without your steady hand and your guiding influence this last year. And then the person who has been with me the entire 8 years, my district director, Deb Shields. You're amazing. You knew how to run the district. I didn't ever question, you just were on autopilot. So if I didn't come talk to you enough in the last year, it's because I had enough trust in you that you just had it all under control. Then there was Amanda. I know you were more qualified than a scheduler, but you were the best scheduler ever, and I'm so happy to see that you're coming back as a chief of staff, because you are just so smart and so talented and just such a wonderful human being. And then there's my 3 millennials, of which, should I communicate through group text? Because apparently they taught me something, that we communicate through group text. But Sam, Mitch, and Stephen, you 3, and Sam, I know you pitched hit for higher ed, and you have a very bright future. And then Mitch and Stephen, all 3 of you have helped me out so much in the last year, and you all 3 have such a bright future, so thank you so very much. In this profession, I've come to realize that beyond our partisans and after the votes have been cast, the people in this room have made this experience one full of kindness, humor, and friendship that is too often not seen by the public. I wish I could mention each of you. Please know that you all have a special job or a special place in my heart. Please know that this is a job that I haven't taken lightly. It is a job which comes with immense power and ultimate responsibility, one with substantial pressure to serve and to serve well. It's one which comes with tremendous amount of faith and trust. It can be stressful, rewarding, and thankless, all within the same 5-minute span. But for me, I would not have changed a thing these last 14 years. During my years of service, I've proudly fought for crime victims' rights, protecting seniors and children, sexual assault prevention, and ensuring our criminal justice system keeps our communities safe and holds offenders accountable. It has been an honor to work with law enforcement officers, prosecutors, victims advocates, and survivors from across the state to implement meaningful legislation. And I wish I could mention them all, but my staff was like, you cannot add any more people to this. But you know who you are, so thank you so very much. I can only hope I have executed the responsibilities of my office true to myself and true to the people I have served. God bless you all, our great state and our nation. So thank you so much, and I ask that my remarks be printed in the journal.